Hi, and welcome to Off the Beaten Tracks, the only show on YouTube where nothing you do with a fork is against the law.
Hi, and welcome back to Off the Beaten Tracks. I've got George Olliver here again, and this time he's going to tell me about the recording of this particular album, Live at the Bluenote. Now the Club Bluenote was a Toronto institution, and from the years 1982 to 1992, George Olliver co-owned that club and performed there.
Oh yeah, no, this Club Bluenote is very, very special in my career because, you know, at that point I'd been on the road for close to, 64, 74, close to 17 years. And to get a house engagement at a club was just the ultimate. So I was hooked up with a good friend of mine who I'd worked for in a club out in Guelph called Sid Markowitz, and together we went to the owner of Peaches on Pears Avenue and took the concept of the Bluenote, which was the concept, the original club on Yonge and Gerrard, and we wanted to make it new again. So we took it to the owner. He loved the concept. We opened the club. It was lined up for 4 years straight. It was the most popular club in Toronto. It was wonderful. And I got a chance to work with all my old cohorts again, like Dominic came in and produced this album. Sean Jackson sang on it. Wayne St. John, a very good friend of mine. And of course, some of my originals on here. Roy Kenner, who was another name artist at that point. Yeah, so it was just a great experience to be able to open up a new Bluenote and record an album called Live at the Bluenote, at the Bluenote.
Well, were these particular artists part of a house band? Did you have a house band that?
I had my own house band, George Olliver and Gangbuster.
Right.
But all these other artists were guests. We had a second set where every week we'd bring in a different local guest artists. We'd bring in Wayne St. John, Liberty Silver, all local artists. But once every month we'd bring in a U.S. artist, and we backed up some great artists.
Yeah, I understand.
From the States.
I understand Whitney Houston actually sang her first album here before it even been released in the States.
That's right. Now, I wasn't, we hadn't brought the concept of the Bluenote to Peaches on Pears, but she came up and she was looking for a club just to diddle around in and pick Peaches on Pears. So she recorded a sort of a live version of some of her tunes that she later recorded, down in the States that became huge hits at the Bluenote.
So who was in the actual Gangbusters house band? I know Lou Pamonte was there.
Yes, the original band, Lou Pamonte. We had Earl Seymour, we've lost him later over the past years, but we had some great, John Pinchishin. We had, who else do we have? We had Tony Gregg on drums. Let me see, Grant Slater, a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
That came and replaced Lou when he went out on the road. Mm-hmm. And some great artists like Sean Jackson and all those people, Liberty Silver. Yeah, it was just a wonderful experience to bring all my friends in and artists and band members and put together that house band, George Olliver and Gangbuster, with special guests.
Was this recording, it was produced by Dominic Troiano, I believe?
Yeah, he produced, we backed the album, and Dominic produced it. Then he went out and shopped the album, and we came back and we got a deal with Quality Records.
He was a special man indeed.
Oh, he was great.
I noticed when I was looking at the tracks that it's essentially a cover album. These are all classic R&B tunes done by classic performers of Toronto, except for 2 songs, one of which you wrote called Renegade,
Yes.
and the other which is The Outer Limits of My Soul, written by Wayne St. John. And I
Yes.
know Wayne St. John from his involvement in Hair.
Yes.
He is a fabulous performer.
He's great.
He must have been so much fun to work with.
Oh, he was fun. He was talented. Not hard to work with. You know, some artists are. But, we remained friends well after the Blue Note and have worked together on various shows up to this point. And he's still recording in a studio out of his house.
Well, you've got Sean Jackson on several numbers, and you do a duet with her on Let It Be Me.
Oh, yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah, so that was a wonderful experience. She's an old friend of mine from way back. And to be able to do that duet with her, which was very well known, was special.
Yeah, and you do Mercy Mercy, which is, of course, such a classic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the band did a great version of that, produced and written, arranged, by Earl Seymour. Did a really special arrangement of that tune.
Yeah, I miss Earl. You have Roy Kenner on this. Now, of course, Roy Kenner replaced you in the Mandela
Yes.
and had the hit Lovitis.
Yes.
He does it on this album. Now, is it a similar version, or is it at all changed?
Very similar. Very, very similar. Yeah. A few changes. An ending on it, which we didn't have on the album, or the single. And
It's really hard to do a fade out live, isn't it?
yeah. But as I say, we had just had opportunity. We released on one of Dominic's records, so we decided to put Lovitis on this one.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And this, I can't remember what year this. Oh, this was 1983. This was recorded.
Yeah.
So this is when a lot of these people were at their musical heights. It must have been a wonderful experience.
It was great, and as you can see with the picture on that, we were just a happy family.
Yeah, that is.
Very, very close knit, and happy to be working with one another.
That would have been a really great place to be when you were recording that.
Yeah, very special to me. Being an entertainment director and a part club owner. Yeah, it was really special.
I have done some recording myself, and so I'm very much aware of the difference between recording live, which is basically without a net, and recording in the studio, where you always have a chance to go over and over until you get something right. How does that feel to you? Do you find a huge difference, or are you such a natural performer that both work equally well?
Well, as I say, I trust the musicians, and the musicians, I was so fortunate to work with some of the best musicians in Toronto over the years. So when they go in and we're going to record, I have no doubt that they're going to sound great, because we've already practiced it. We already know about it. And the thing about recording live, it's the same thing as recording in the studio. You go in, yes, you have the option of overdubbing a few things, which we did on some of this early recording, but nothing to what they do now. They take they overdub things over and over and over until they get a big fat sound. What you hear on here is exactly the way the band sounded live and in the studio.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear back in those days, and unfortunately, yeah, you're right. A lot of people do start layering it on, orchestrating, as Keith Mackay mentioned when he felt that happened to his recordings, where it just became too thick with orchestration. This is live, and it's lovely. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us again. I look forward to hopefully seeing you in the future for some more releases. You're a man of so much.
Well, Roxanne, you're a vocalist yourself, and I could tell the questions you're asking here. I'm talking to a fellow musician here.
Thank you so much.
It was a real pleasure being with you.
Thank you so much. And thanks for joining us once again on Off the Beaten Tracks. I have been with George Olliver. We have been discussing Live at the Blue Note. Come again.